Business Connections Live, the UK's leading online business channel. This is Business Connections Live with Steve Hyland.
Hello there, welcome along. This is Business Connections Live, the program for entrepreneurs, SMEs and business owners. Now, on today's show, we're going to be discussing how to unlock the potential in your business. How do you go about doing that? Do you think you've got maybe a great idea that you're not getting the most out of? What's holding it back? Is it the brand? Is it the product? Is it your marketing? Is it your sales? Is it your people? Is it you? Well, how do you unlock that true potential? How do you find out maybe where you're going wrong, and how do you move your business forward to make it more profitable? My guest on today's show is Sylvia Baldock. She's a personal presence and team dynamics specialist. Now, a lot of people are going to be listening to that, Sylvia, and be going, what does that mean then? So what does that mean? What are you then?
Well, I unlock the hidden potential in people, both individuals and teams, by helping people to recognise and play to their natural strengths, rather than being that proverbial jack of all trades that we're all brought up to be.
Is it a case, do you think, that a lot of people don't understand their own true potential, and so therefore they're working against themselves when they're working in business?
Absolutely. It's very much the culture of this country that they want us to be good at everything. So at school, we're expected to get 10 GCSEs, A stars at GCSEs. And if we're weak at something, then they keep us in after school and they focus on the weakness. And if we join a business for a certain role, they take us on for the skills that we have. And if we're weak at something, they'll send us on a training course to make us better at the weakness. So what I do is focus on, well, what are you good at? What are you naturally good at? And how can we enable you to spend more of your time doing what you're good at? Because that's where you will feel fired up, energised, in flow, and you'll be far more productive. And at the end of the day, you'll feel far more fulfilled.
Now, you've touched on the word there that we're going to be talking about a little bit later on, called flow.
Yes.
That's not the person Flo, is it? Down over the garden fence. Hello, Flo. Hey up, right, grand. What do you mean by flow?
Okay, well, flow is described as the path of least resistance. And if you think of a fast-flowing river going down to the sea, it just bypasses all the boulders and rocks in the way and it keeps flowing. And you're swimming with the tide. It feels easy, it feels effortless. So when you spend a day in flow, you can look at the clock and several hours have passed and you can't believe it because you've been so engaged in what you're doing and it's come so easily, it hasn't even felt like work. When you're out of flow, it's a bit like swimming up that river and going against the tide, and everything feels like hard work because it's not what you're meant to be doing. And at the end of the day, you feel tired, you feel drained, and you don't really feel you've achieved very much, because when you're out of flow, it takes you much longer to do something than it should do.
All right, now we're going to get into real detail about all of this, and in fact, Sylvia very kindly let me go through one of these personal presence and team dynamics forms, tests. What would you call it? Profile. So I have been profiled. I shall be revealing all a little bit later on. It'll go nicely with my police record, in fact. So so that's what we'll be looking at that a little bit later on. So you'll be able to see a proper example about what we're talking about when it comes to how you actually do find out what your locked character, your locked in, shall we say, your attributes, the things that you're going to be good at, maybe the things that you don't truly understand yourself. So we're going to be looking at mine a little bit later on. I don't mind exposing everything here on the programme.
Just your profile, please.
Just your just the profile. Good point. Dagnammit, I was hoping to do everything today, but it's just going to be the profile we're going to be exposing a little bit later on. We have a lot of people that come on, and we have a lot of experts that come on who are experts in their own individual field. But the thing that's always interesting about the experts is their backstory, how they got to where they are. Why should we listen to you? Are you a woman that has done the walk as well as the talk? Because as they say, a lot of people who can't teach.
Yes.
And that isn't the case with you, is it? You've been there, done that, got the
Yes,
T-shirt,
absolutely.
and you've actually come from industry. Tell us a little bit about your background.
Okay, well, I started life as a nurse. I became a theatre sister in open heart surgery and got to the level where if I'd gone any higher, I'd have gone into administration. I wouldn't even have had a job title. I would have been a number 7. So that wasn't very appealing.
Not on the business card, anyway. You are number 7. I am not a number. I am a free woman.
Good on Strictly, though. 7.
Yes.
So from there, I started my own business. I had a health food business, and I was living in Glasgow at the time. You might detect the northern twang. And I approached the House of Fraser, and I got a franchise within the House of Fraser store in Glasgow. And I ran that for a number of years. And then due to a marriage break, I sold the business, decided to use my skills, which was medical skills and selling, and went into the pharmaceutical industry. And there I learned how to sell, how to market a business, how to meet people, and really build a relationship with the doctors and clinicians that I was selling to. And as a result of that, I ran a sales team. So I learned a lot about motivating and inspiring people. And eventually, after another career break for kids, when I came back to work, I wanted to do something where I could help people to find what it was that really made them feel alive. Not just do any old job because that's what they've trained for or that's the degree they've got in university, but you know, what is it that you do that really makes your heart sing? It makes you jump out of bed in the morning and look forward to it. And through working with a friend of mine, I discovered networking. I bought a couple of franchises. I've run networking groups for businesswomen for the last 9.5 years. And part of that is about training and developing women to have more confidence, self-esteem, understand how to grow a business. And as part of that, I came across talent dynamics, and that was the next step, trained in that.
So you trained in that, you take your past experience and you apply that as well. When you look back,
yes,
and or even if you're looking forward now, the kind of companies that you're going into, the kind of people that you see, is there an underlying similarity between all of them? Do you see, same thing again?
Yes.
Same thing again?
Yes.
So go on then, spill the beans, what is that?
I'm seeing that people are doing a job role as best as they can. I'm seeing people are running their own company as best as they can and juggling so many different things that they're not actually good at. So, for example, let's take a web designer, for example. They'll think, I'll start my own company. I'm really good at web design. They'll start their own company and then they realise they've got to do bookkeeping and accounting and they've got to market themselves and they've got to go out and network and they've got to do some PR and they've got VAT returns. And because they're not very familiar with all of that, they spend a massive amount of their time doing all the peripheral stuff it takes to run a business and not actually doing what they went into business for. So the actual time they spend playing to their strengths and developing great websites is about 20% of the whole time that they're working.
Is it busy fools?
It's busy fools, yes. And it's partly that, but if you think of our upbringing, we're brought up to believe that if we work hard, we'll succeed. So we have this mindset that work must be hard. And therefore, as business owners, we think, well, I've got to do it all. I've got to do the bad stuff as well as the good stuff, because life can't be that good that I just do what I like. You know? And similarly, in companies, people will take people on board because they're creative, for example. They'll get them into the role and then they'll say, oh, well, we'd actually like you to do this as well. And could you do some of the reporting? And can you do some research? And that person, again, has so little time actually being creative that they're not nearly as productive as they could be. And that's when people get demotivated because they don't feel valued and they don't feel trusted to do what they do best.
Is there an entrepreneurial trait that goes through all this as well? People who claim to be, once again, these inverted commas, claim to be entrepreneurs. Do you see that with them? Because somebody who starts a business that is entrepreneurial will initially want to do everything themselves because they're a control freak. Now, honestly, this is what came out. Lots of great ideas, starts lots of things, finishes nothing, which is fundamentally what it says, actually.
It does.
Which is fine. But we will finish this programme, I promise you that today. But do you see entrepreneurial traits like that come up on a regular basis?
Very much so, yeah. You've hit the nail on the head. And funnily enough, you came out as a creator profile. And the UK is very much dominated by creator profiles because we're a very creative country. When we do this same profiling in somewhere like Singapore, there's a very high level of trader profiles, the wheeler, dealer, negotiator, getting things done. So over here, there's a lot of people who've started their business who fall into that creator profile. And the reason they don't succeed is that they want to micromanage at every stage. They find it really difficult to delegate and let go and let people get on. You're smiling, does it ring a
No, it's
bell?
just that my director, love him, is laughing in my ear, actually, with that kind of knowing way.
Yes.
Yeah, people.
You've been spotted. You've
I've
been
been
outed.
spotted. I've been outed today on the control freak. Me, no. What are you talking about? So it's interesting now. When it comes to a profile test like this,
Yes.
how accurate is a profile test like that going to be? Now, let me explain. The profile test takes around about 10, 15 minutes or thereabouts. The premise before you start is that you don't think too much about it. You nearly answer instinctively the questions that are in the profile test, and then it comes back and it goes and tells you. Is it a bit like reading your stars, though? You know, when you read your stars, you can make it fit if you try hard.
Yeah.
Is it a bit like that?
No, it's much more, it's got much more gravitas than that, Steve. And if you think that you are answering questions, reading your stars, you're not answering any questions. You are answering questions. So from that, you get a percentage of the different energies which have made you the creator that you are today. When I read my profile, I'm a star, so I'm just one along from you. I was the goosebumps all over my body because it was so accurate. And like you, I thought, how on earth do they know that much about me in a 10-minute test?
Because it was interesting because the star is the one on, so that's my sub.
One of your secondaries.
One of my secondaries.
Yes.
Yeah, it's what I do most of the time.
Yes. Yes.
As a broadcaster, both on television and radio. It surprised me because that would have been the piece that I thought would have been the lead or the dominant profile. We will get into this and we will show you the entire profile. It is absolutely fascinating and you'll be able to find out more. We'll give you some websites at the end of this if you want to find out more about how you would go about doing this. So do you think when you go into industry and you talk to them and you explain this to them, how many of them actually listen to you? How many actually...
Oh, they all do. Even the most sceptical, analytical people who go, I don't like this, I don't like it. By the end of it, they're absolutely fascinated. Because when I go in, I profile the whole team in advance and then I explain the 8 different profiles. And suddenly, there's all this laughter around the room, just like Gordon is now when he realises who you are, because people suddenly go, oh gosh, now I understand why you ask so many questions all the time. Now I understand why you take so long to do things. And there's all those light bulb moments and that understanding of your colleagues. And suddenly it's like the pennies dropping all the time.
Now, will we be able to give a top line kind of feel to those different characters as we're going through this?
Absolutely.
So maybe our viewers can identify what they perhaps they are without filling the form in today. But it is a real insight. And as I said, it took around about 15 minutes. And everybody that's read it so far has agreed that it's probably me down to the ground. The funniest thing was coming up and starting new projects but never finishing them. And that was probably the one that even I was able to identify the closest with. Listen, we're going to talk more in just a few moments' time to my guest today. On today's show, it's Sylvia Baldock, Personal Presence and Team Dynamics Specialist on this edition of Business Connections Live. More to come. Well, you're watching Business Connections Live. Here we are. It is a Monday. It's great to have your company. If you are watching us right now on YouTube, it's great to know that you're there. If you're watching us on Facebook, cannot believe it. If you are a small business owner and at the moment you're saying to yourself, well, how can I get my message out there? How can I communicate with my audience? How can I tell them about what I'm doing? How can I engage them? How can I tease them into my business and tell them I've maybe got a solution for the issues that they have? Can I just say that, and I'm sure Mark Zuckerberg is going to be very pleased with this, I do think that Facebook at the moment, Facebook Live is a fantastic way of targeting potential business people that are interested in your business. It is a terrific platform and hats off. Yes, could they improve the technology around what you can do with the video? be nice if you could trim the front and trim the end and things like that. But apart from that, the engagement level is absolutely phenomenal. So do check out Facebook Live. You're agreeing with me there?
Totally agree. I use it all the time. Love it. Absolutely love it, and get great response from people that watch it. In fact, one lady who saw it on last week, she was going to a major meeting in London, and she was going to be meeting some really key people. She wanted their business, and she wasn't feeling as fired up as normal. And she saw my Facebook Live that morning when I was talking about being motivated and giving some top tips. She then took my book on the train and read it from cover to cover. And by the time she got off the train, she was so fired up. She had a brilliant meeting and made some excellent contacts.
And isn't that what it's all about?
It's all about
that motivation. By the way,
Yeah.
the books we're alluding to are the books that we have here. There are 2 books that Sylvia has produced. We've got From Now to Wow in 30 Days, 30 top tips on presenting with power, passion and presence. And then From Now to Wow in 30 Days, 30 more top tips to develop a powerful personal presence right now as well. So 2 great books. We'll talk more about those a little bit later on. By the way, just sitting underneath it is my profile report. You can see that here. Let's have a quick gander. There it is. And we'll be talking about that a little bit later on in the programme as well. While we're talking about programs, let's talk about last week's programme. We had a cracking show. Neil Ackroyd, he's a partner at Opus Mergers and Acquisitions. He was talking about how to prepare your business for sale. Is it something you should be doing, or is it something that you shouldn't be doing? Does it make you feel happy when you go to work, or are you just looking at it as a bit of a slog and one day you just want to sell it? It was a great show. If you didn't have the opportunity to tune in, not only was he a very, very entertaining man, very, very witty in his presentation. There was something quirky about him, actually, which was really, really refreshing. It was absolutely fascinating, because a lot of us sometimes get lost in that jungle of business and don't realise that really, as Sylvia was just saying, business doesn't need to be all about it being hard work. It doesn't have to be a slog. Maybe if you enjoy working in your business, instead of selling it and looking for an exit plan, maybe what you should be doing is keeping it and just enjoying life as it is. If you missed last week's programme, here's a chance to watch just a little snippet. It'll encourage you to see what was on last week's edition of Business Connections Live. On today's show, we're going to be asking, should you be selling your business? You hear it all the time. Oh, go on now, tell me, what's your exit plan? What are you planning to do in the future? Are you going to set the business up, build the business up, and then sell it on to make a vast profit and live off the income from that at a later date? Or are you going to work until you drop? Are you going to keep the business? I mean, it's a big question a lot of business have, and a lot of people are asking themselves those particular questions when they go about starting a business. So what is your exit plan? Do you have an exit plan, or do you intend to keep the business until the day that you fall over, they put you in the box and they wave you goodbye? Joining me in the studio today is Neil Ackroyd. He's a partner at Precision Opus Mergers and Acquisitions.
You know, do I need an exit plan? Well, you only need one if you need one, which kind of sounds a bit evasive. You know, and I think it's useful to go back to, you know, what a business is for and why it was created in the first place. You know, life isn't about having a business, life's about living, and you started the business
because a bit of a revelation for a lot of people.
Yeah, that's right. Well, actually, and this is the big soapbox moment for me, really, is you know, too often in my career have I handed people checks for money that I kind of just think it's a poor substitute for what you've sacrificed in your life. It's just stopped giving you freedom and actually flipped the other side, and suddenly you're feeling trapped. And that's the stage where you should start thinking about exit plans and start thinking about selling. The difference between an owner-manager and employee is so radical that everything an owner-manager cares about and is frightened by is not on their radar, and everything that they care about is not on the owner-manager's radar. Well, you know, in terms of practicalities of how to sell a business, I think people make the mistake of you know, sending out one-pagers and largely broadcasting it, which is a broker model. And the thing I kind of sit there and say is, look, fundamentally it's a business. Be loyal to your staff, be loyal to your customers, be loyal to your family, but for God's sakes, don't be loyal to your business. the issue, one of the issues is that it is an incredibly different skill set. It is a very rare, or not, it's rare and valuable skill set to be able to take something from an idea. And we all had our idea at the beginning. For me, I remember it vividly. I was sat at 2 o'clock in the morning, shall I, shan't I was watching TV, and Eminem's Lose Yourself in the Music came on, and the decision was made, right, I'm going to do it. It is a fundamentally different skill set to taking something that's established, even if you established it, and growing it into something much bigger, because it needs more brains. You know, if you can take something where your brain can cover everything, manage everything, and look after everybody, taking it to that point where you have a load of leaders, a load of empowered leaders, and you're really growing and really taking off. Truly being able to let go and empower somebody to run your business is a very, very rare skill set. I'm not saying people can't do it, but they very, very rarely do. Whether somebody can do it or not is entirely academic, especially when talking about owner-managers, about whether they will do it. So what you find is owner-managers who are phenomenal at having difficult conversations with people, phenomenal at people management, are actually quite good at empowering people, but don't want to in their heart of hearts, because it's not what they naturally do. But actually, when you're running a business and you're just going bigger, 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 at some point, if you lose track of the fact that you're only doing this because it's meant to make your life happy, we're only on this planet so that we can look after look after ourselves, look after our families, whatever, and be happy, then there's an issue. Businesses are started by different types of people, aren't they? So you get salespeople and you get technical people. And technical people will build a business that's technically really good and the product's really good. Salespeople will sell stuff. So have a chat with your advisor about it, but for God's sakes, don't fall into the estate agent's trick. And because another thing, this is a lot of firms will go out there and they'll tell you your business is worth twice as much as you think it is, on the basis that there is a natural temptation to sign up with the person who says it's worth the most. Hi, I'm Neil Ackroyd from Precision Opus Mergers and Acquisitions. The key takeaways for today's show really is whether or not you should sell a business, and actually that it's more about you as a person than the business as a business, and actually is the business doing what you need it to do. The secondary takeaways, I think, are around when you've decided, you should be able to run a process that protects your business and protects the value you have whilst marketing it by using confidential research and other tools. And I think the third one is just thinking about the psychology of the people you're dealing with.
He is a terrific guy, Neil Ackroyd. If you get a chance to actually watch the entire programme. And don't forget, you can watch all the programmes if you wish by simply going to Business Connections Live. And if you think the programmes are fantastic, or you're enjoying today's programme, you're thinking, do you know, I wish I was able to sit in front. Or maybe you're thinking to yourself, I'd like to sit in front of a camera, but I'd like to be doing it for my business. Then how about having a programme just like this one for your business? An opportunity for you to be put into the chair where you are the voice of authority, where you can highlight the proposition, maybe what your business does, the service that you provide, and then the solution that you provide to your customers with some really clear calls to action. A program like that could do wonders for you. In 5 years' time, every website is going to look like a multimedia TV channel. If your website at the moment is quite flat, quite static, things are going to change. You're going to be left behind. And video is going to be the way forward. We're already talking about 4K TVs, 4K video online, which means that the technology is really moving forward. We've been nearly pushed forward by the technology that is out there. For the right or the wrong reasons, the technology is going to be there. And if you do not apply it to your business, you're going to find yourself up the Swanee without a paddle. Maybe, if things are really bad, without even a canoe as well, for that matter. So, if you want to get more details on how you go about having a programme, shall we say, like this one for your business, you can contact us here at Business Connections Live. Here come all the details that you need. You can email us at studio@businessconnectionslive.com. Or if you want to, you can have a word with us. We don't mind. You just give myself, Steve Highland, or Linda Bazan a call on 01784 256 777. You can direct message us if you wish, if you're into Twitter in a big, big way, or if you just want to follow our train of consciousness, then Twitter, BCL, Business TV. And don't forget, we were talking about Facebook before we showed you the short clip. Do follow us on Facebook. Go to our Facebook page at Business Connections Live. So just get in touch with us, have a bit of fun, and let's grow your business together. You're watching Business Connections Live. Lovely to have you with us today. My guest on today's show is Sylvia Bulldog. She's a personal presence and team dynamics specialist. What does that mean? It means that she helps you unlock your true potential, to identify what you are all about. What are your key strengths, and how can you maybe maximize those key strengths to make work maybe more efficient, make you work happier? That's an important word, isn't it?
Oh, totally.
Working happy.
And there's no maybe, you will work.
You will. There's no maybe in it at all. I was just leaving a caveat in there just in case it all went horribly wrong. Let's talk about identifying some of those key traits that people have. People's natural abilities, inner strengths. Everybody, I suppose, has a unique value in the business that they're in, but we sometimes don't recognise that. How do you identify it? How do you bring it to the workplace? And really, hankering on to what we talked about on last week's edition of Business Connections Live, how do we bring it into our lives?
Well, everybody that I work with, I always profile first, whether it be an individual coaching client or a team, because then and can I just say at this stage, it's not about putting you in a box. It's not about labelling you and saying, oh, you're a creative profile, therefore you'll think and act in this way. It's about giving you a framework so you can look at the natural strengths of a creator profile, for example. Let's use your example, and you can see where you sit there and what resonates with you, and then you can start to think about, well, how much of my time at work am I actually being creative? Because that's where you add most value.
Let's just have a quick gander at one of these profiles. This is my one that's here. So when we're talking about what profiles are all about, you get a kind of an indication of what we're trying to highlight here. And if you just look now here, this is the kind of profile that we're talking about. The actual square that's highlighted, this blue square here, this is how my profile came out. So we've got a number of different types of people around the square.
Yes.
We'll come back to creator in a moment. You've already mentioned star. Let's start as supporter and work our way around the square, shall we?
Okay, so supporters are the biggest people. They're full of this blaze energy, which means that they're naturally really great at networking. They're very warm, they're very inspiring, make great team leaders. The deal maker next to the supporter joins the dots with people. So they would be like you and I sitting here trying to find the best solution or trying to find the best connections. So they love sorting out people, finding the right market connections and working out the best deal that's going to move people forward and their businesses forward. That's your deal maker. The trader in the middle at the bottom is very much in the thick of activity. They're the doers. Put them in charge of a project, give them a deadline, they'll get things done. They love an activity list, they love ticking things off, and they're really good at harmonising a team. The accumulators, very risk averse. They can be seen as pessimists because they always say, but what if? But actually they do such a level of research that when they say this is not a good time to launch that business or it is a good time to sell, listen to them because they've done the research. The Lords, very analytical, like to be in control, as the name suggests. They need lots of detail, they need certainty. So if you think you're dealing with a Lord profile, don't just turn up with a great idea. Have facts, figures, case studies, etc. The mechanic profile is the fixer. So they are great problem solvers and great at finding the idea of the creator and finishing it, because that's not your strength.
Right, thank you very much. And you can see that actually. Now there are some other words that are written on this particular chart. We've got the dynamo, blaze, tempo, steel.
Yes.
And also down the very bottom, just on the bottom, we've got introvert and extrovert. Just explain those four categories to me.
Okay, so the four energies are what you've been measured on. So dynamo energy at the top is big picture, strategy, vision, innovation, so very fast thinking, fast moving. They want things done now.
No detail.
No detail. That's the ones,
Yeah,
okay?
that's me. Yeah.
Blaze Energy is very much about people. They get the results through conversation, discussion. They need to be around people. Stick them in an office and the light goes out. So keep them out with people. Tempo Energy, all about timing. So they're not very
What's that
good.
all about? Timing.
Timing.
Right.
Timing.
Okay. Right.
So give them a blank sheet of paper. It will still be blank at the end of the day. But give them an idea and a deadline. They'll scope it out and they'll make it happen.
Right.
And Steel Energy is analytical. So it's the data, the research, the getting into the fine print and the details and the cash flow projections and what impacts it's going to have in our business. So that's the 4 energies, and you're highest on the dynamo, the big creativity vision, and also on the blaze, which is the people side.
So let's just look at the chart once again, and we can see that. Is it typical that somebody who goes through this particular profile will have that kind of layout, but maybe pointing to different segments on there? Do you ever get it so that nearly all of the different points are taken in?
Great question. Yes, more often than not, it's more...
Is that because they thought about it?
Well, you could say that, but let me give you an example. Not long after I trained in this, I profiled somebody, very clever woman, very bright. What she did was work with businesses to take them from where they were to massive turnovers. So she would take a company from like 500 grand turnover to 500,000, 2 million within 6 months to a year. She was brilliant at what she did. She came out as almost a perfect square. She was slightly higher in the creator, like you are, and she said, well, I'm really good at everything, so how do I know what to offload to be more effective? And I said, well, why don't you try spending more time in the creative profile, because you're slightly higher there. So she offloaded the steel stuff, the admin, the detail, the invoicing, all the kind of the doing stuff, outsourced that, focused on the creativity, and within a year her turnover trebled, because she was thinking about the big vision, the strategy, where are we going? She was bringing new offerings into her business, and she was playing to her strengths. So she was just getting stronger and stronger in that area. So that's what this is about. Find what you're good at, do more of it, and as you do more of it, it's a bit like going to the gym and exercising a muscle. Your muscle gets stronger. The more you do of what you do well, the stronger you become, and therefore the more of an expert you become.
I mean, it really is. Absolutely fascinating to do it. The other 2 areas are on the introvert and extrovert.
Yes.
Now, when we're talking about introvert and extrovert, I take it that the right-hand side is extrovert.
Yes.
And the left-hand side is introvert. So therefore, you can have an extrovert creator, star, supporter, deal maker, trader, or you can have an introvert trader, accumulator, lord, mechanic.
Yes.
So you can have both 2 sides of the personality, 2 sides of the character.
2 sides, yeah. So let me explain. By introvert, what we mean is that these people like to get their results through data and research, and very happy to work on their own. Whereas on the extrovert side, they like to get the results through people. So it's through discussion, and it's through listening to people, going on training courses, workshops, sitting around a table. It's all through people. The people in the middle, the creator and the trader, can swing both ways.
Right, as all traders can. But so can the creator as well.
Creator, yes, because you're bang in the middle. You're on that middle spectrum.
Yeah.
So it means that you can be incredibly extrovert and love being with people, but also you probably need a bit of time where you just unwind and you have a bit of time to think. Do you ever need time on your own?
Yeah, I know what you're saying. And your one is similar to mine, but it's
I'm
round to the
star.
star.
Yeah.
And we can see why.
So
Lovely.
what a star is very creative on their feet. So if I'm standing up running a workshop or presenting and the audience are not engaged, then I'll immediately be creative. I'll mix it up. I'll get them doing stuff and get them really engaged.
Yeah, mine's just slightly down the star. Can't understand that. Just one question wrong, that's all it was. Yeah. So you're talking there about identifying what your individual skill is and then identifying it and then channeling forward on that.
Yes.
So is that sometimes a difficult thing to implement into a business if you are in a particular position that is really, shall we say, for argument's sake, moving you towards being the mechanic,
Right.
but really you're more the star or the
Yes,
supporter.
yes.
Is that sometimes that you're a round peg in a square hole?
Absolutely, and this is very much what doing this with a team is all about. It's about shape sorting the people. It's about getting the square peg in the square hole. And when we do this with a team, the discussion that often comes up is, oh, actually, I really struggle with that part of my role. I don't feel I'm good at it. It takes me ages to do. And there's something about having this profile in black and white that it makes the room almost like a confessional. And people go, well, it's there in black and white, so I might as well talk about it. So suddenly they'll own up to what they're struggling with. And the biggest feedback I get from CEOs and MDs is, I can't believe how much they shared. And it's something to do with just having it there and thinking, well, I might as well now. So then what happens is somebody in the room will say, I really like doing that. I love doing that. Why don't you let me take that and you do my networking, for example, because I'm not good at that. I don't do it well. So what happens is there's a repositioning of part of the role. So you get the right people doing the right things at the right time. And then the team becomes more like a well-oiled machine. You know, you've got everything in the right place.
Just before we move off this, can I just have a look at what my results, the top line of my results were? We've got a little graph here or a little picture that shows you what actually came up when I put my details in there. You can actually see it on my computer screen, but we've got actually written out the words, the very words that come from the report itself. And here they are. It says, strengths, visionary, creative, optimistic, stimulating, able to inspire others, can multitask, quick to get results, great at getting things started. That's my strengths. Challenges, just be me really. Poor sense of timing, impatient, over-optimistic with what others can achieve, easily distracted, so true. Terrible at getting things finished, absolutely. Successes, best when free to create, with a team to promote and a team to watch the detail. Excels when kept focused on the big picture strategy. It's so true, really is. I mean, and that's the kind of report that you're getting. It is a very, very comprehensive report. Do you think it works right across all levels and all different job roles within industry?
It totally does. Yes.
Well, I mean, you're from a sales background. How would it help somebody in sales? If you're in sales and there's
Yes.
nothing more you can do with it, how can you play to your strengths if you know that your strengths aren't right for sales? Do you say, right, it's career change time?
Absolutely.
Or really?
Yeah, if you find out that you're not right for sales, then you shouldn't be doing sales. It's a real good chance to look at what you're doing and decide where you need to be focusing your time and energy. And also what it does, so let me give you an example of what it did for me. So when I read Star Profile, I thought, okay, great. I do quite a bit of training. I run networking groups. I'm training in those networking groups every month. But I thought, I'm not playing to my star enough. So I joined the Professional Speaking Association. I thought, let's try this out. Let's see if this works. I joined the Professional Speaking Association 3 years ago. And as a result of reading my profile, my speaking career has gone from that to that. So I now speak at conferences, at events, I do keynotes, I do a lot more training, and I'm so much more in flow as a result. Had I not read that, I'd have just carried on doing what I was doing, reasonably happy, but there was something missing. And now when I'm training and speaking, I'm so much in flow, I'm in overflow, it's fabulous, and I feel really fired up and energised, and at the end of the day, I'm not drained, I feel great. I'm doing what I'm meant to be doing.
We'll come back. We're going to be talking about more about that, and we're also going to talk about how it can help you in what you're doing within your business. You're watching Business Connections Live. More from Sylvia Baldock, personal presence and team dynamic specialist, in just a few moments' time. Now, we were always looking on today's programme. We were looking for maybe one of our other guests who could complement admirably Sylvia's presentation today, what she's talking about, where you identify yourself. Another area, of course, that people sometimes neglect in business is their own personal wellness. We sometimes abuse our bodies. I mean, we probably all, maybe not all of us, but many of us maybe drink a little bit too much. We probably eat a little bit too much. We probably eat the wrong kind of things. We don't have enough exercise. Of course, all that impacts on our life, on our lifestyle, the way we behave, the way we are with people at work. You know, you have a sugar low and all of a sudden you become Mr. Grumpy. If you're on a sugar high, then perhaps you're you're a creative and you don't have time for people. You start many projects and then you don't finish them. But there are a whole different things, and you've really got to look after yourself. But this is just part of that puzzle that makes up the most complicated thing in the whole world, you. So we thought we'd get a little bit of Kate Cook on just to give us some key advice on what we should be thinking about when it comes to wellness in the workplace. Here's Kate Cook.
I'm Kate Cook, and I'm a corporate wellness specialist and also nutritionist by trade. And today I would like to give you 3 tips on how you can start making that evolution happen for you. Don't think about revolution, think about evolution. So the first tip I would say is about the structure. So go back and look at your lifestyle and how it's preventing you at the moment from being healthy, whatever that is. It could be around making boundaries at home, by going home on time. It could be about childcare. It could be about having more fun in your life at weekends and not working. And definitely around technology. Our brains are not designed to operate these technology machines all the time. And it has an impact on our nutrition because it takes away our micronutrients away from our kind of pot that we can access. So make a change around that. And how you do that is, and this isn't a product placement, folks, but go to Paperchase and buy yourself a menu planner. It's £8 or thereabouts to buy yourself a menu planner from Paperchase. Then plan out what you're going to eat. Instead of that, getting home and looking in the fridge and finding nothing there, okay? And wondering who's nicked it. Dobby the house elf, has he been round? Nicked all your food? No, you didn't plan it. So that's the first thing. Second thing, get a nice hot meal, especially around this time of year. Look into having, I've got a crock pot, but it's a slow cooker. You chop up the stuff, it takes you 5 seconds, and you've got, 5 seconds, but you've got this beautiful, hot, wonderful steaming meal as you come in, and it's absolutely fabulous. So, and they're extremely cheap to operate. Dust it off if you've got it in your garage, because it's been there since your wedding day. And the other thing is just eat organic. If that's your one change, I would do that. Make it slow, start and taste the difference, and you will start making dynamic changes into how you start living your life. Thank you very much.
No, Kate, thank you very much indeed. Kate Cook there, fantastic programme. Kate's done a couple of programmes for us here at Business Connections Live. Just go to our website, businessconnectionslive.com, stick in the search bar Kate Cook and a couple of shows will come up. Both of them are fantastic. And she does go into businesses and she will say to them, look, your team, they're just eating the wrong stuff. They're not doing enough exercise. But the thing that I loved about Kate the most was she'd go in there, and if she said that to you and you went, listen, we're not into it, you go, okay, it's up to you. I don't care. I'm just telling you, they're the facts. And she was very very pragmatic about the way that she would go in and tell somebody what she perceived as being wrong. And if you didn't take the advice on board, well, then so be it. It was your loss, not hers. And I quite like that in business sometimes because it shows that, you're not, oh, yes, well, whatever you say. Yes. Oh, but, you come across that yourself, I would imagine, at times.
Absolutely, yes.
Listen, you're watching Business Connections Live. My guest on today's show is Sylvia Baldock. She's a personal presence and team dynamics specialist. We were talking just before we went into the break there. We were talking about letting different things go in your life, identifying it, not being frightened to. I mean, you are effectively giving yourself permission to not do things, aren't you?
Absolutely. I used to beat myself up because I'm not brilliant at the details. I mean, a VAT return probably takes me about 3 weeks because I just don't want to do it, and I put it off and I put it off. And when I did this, I came out with 4% steel energy, which is all that analysis in detail, and it gave me permission to go, let it go. Stop beating yourself up because you're not good at it. Give it to somebody who's great at it. So I've got a virtual assistant who does all of that for me. She loves it. She would hate being here right now speaking to you or standing up presenting. It's not what she does. So I'm the star and she's the accumulator. She's the opposite corner. She's a perfect person to be working with me because she covers
there's a lady that I have dealings with, and she runs her business, and I'm going to give her a plug because she's a lovely, lovely lady, and we have a lot in common, the pair of us. And her business is called Mundane Tasks. And she is at her happiest sitting, watching the TV, sorting out receipts. Oh yeah, I'll put that in that pile over there, and sorting out all the stuff you really don't want to do. She really enjoys. Where would she be? She would be. I don't think she'd be on your chart.
She's probably an accumulator.
An accumulator. She'd be the accumulator, wouldn't she? But an absolutely a great lady as well, for that matter, and she fantastic service.
Thank God for the accumulators.
Indeed, because they're the people that do the hard work while we just get on and enjoy. But they're enjoying themselves too, aren't they?
Yes.
But enjoying themselves in a different way. So we've given ourselves permission to actually to get rid of that kind of workload,
yes,
for us to concentrate on what we want to do.
And the thing is as well, Steve, nowadays it's never been easier to just let things go, to delegate things. You know, you don't have to employ somebody, get involved in PAYE and pension schemes, because so many people work virtually. So I've got my PA who does all my admin, VAT returns, etc. I've got someone who does some of my social media for me. I've got somebody else who's helping me build an online community. I've got somebody who helps me with PR. So, you know, they're all virtual, and I pay them for the number of hours they do for me that week or that month. So it's such a brilliant way to work. And while they're doing the stuff that they do well, it frees me up to focus on my area of strength, which is presenting.
But if you go into a large organisation and you're showing them this, and we were having a little chat just during the break there about the fact that this is, actually we all know this. We all know this, but here it is graphically represented in front of us, in the same way as we have NLP experts for something that we all do naturally and don't realise we do. This is really just about the realisation of a particular thing that happens within us naturally, isn't it?
Yes, it is. But very often, because we've been brought up as that jack of all trades, and because we've then been told we need to go to university, then we'll go and we'll do that course, and then we think, well, we need to get a job because we've invested all that time and money in that course, and we end up doing a job role that we don't enjoy, and we learn to be good at stuff. So we can learn to be good at stuff, so therefore we can spend our whole life looking for jobs that are in that area that we've trained in, and not actually realising what our core strengths are. 80% of workers in Britain are not playing to their strengths at work. 80%. Can you imagine the impact that has on their motivation, their productivity, and ultimately their profitability? So it's no wonder that absenteeism is high and that people job hop, because they're not feeling engaged and they're not feeling valued.
What do you think the benefits are that come to an organisation that identifies this and then lives with the results of it? I mean, does it make it easier to go out there to attract clients? Does it make the business flow more easily? Here we're using the word flow again. But does it really sort of give it a bit of an extra charge if you've got the right people? It sounds common sense, doesn't it? What do you mean? The right people in the right job at the right time, doing the right thing?
Absolutely it does. And I spoke to a CEO of a social enterprise that I worked with a couple of months ago. I spoke to him on Friday actually, and he said, my team is so much happier. They are all doing what they're meant to be doing, and they have all identified how they can collaborate and support each other, so they're working together much better. He said they're happier, they're motivated, we're getting through stacks of stuff, and he said, and I'm really happy coming to work. I love it. My team are so engaged and so in flow. So it affects the whole team, and that's the importance of doing it with the whole team. It's that everybody understands everybody else and starts to value each other rather than complaining because you're different. Yeah.
When you're in a business environment, sometimes that structure of a business can allow you to discover that and to grow and just to get further into who you are. You know, if somebody has told you this is your key, your key potential area, and your business is behind that, then they will put you there, and of course allow you to flourish. How do we do it personally, though? Can we do it personally? Can we? You've already alluded to the fact that that's what you've done. You've looked at your chart, and you've offloaded some of the work that you've done in the past that you now perceive as being essential but mundane.
Yes.
So it puts you in a position where you've now got more time to do the things that you enjoy.
Yes.
But you're a businesswoman. What about people who want to personally feel their true potential? Is there a way that they can motivate themselves, that they can keep this whole mindset going?
Yeah, I mean, it's very much about, first of all, finding out what is it that floats your boat. You know, what is it that's going to get you out of bed in the morning? What's going to make you jump out and think, I'm so looking forward to today? and do more of it. And, you know, on Saturday, I met a surgeon at an event I was at, and she was with her daughter, and there was a lot of deep, meaningful stuff going on, and it transpired that she has no time for herself whatsoever. And she was in tears because she realised that she grossly undervalues herself. She takes no time for herself at all. And because I was sitting sort of next to her daughter, I had quite an in-depth conversation about her. We've connected
Having been a
social
nurse.
media, all the rest of it. And, you know, I've since been in touch with her saying, you know, you've got to take time for you, because it's a bit like, you know, on an aeroplane, they go, put your own oxygen mask on before you put somebody else's on. If you're neglecting yourself, if you're not taking any time to rejuvenate and fill up the tanks of your energy, then you're useless to people around you. So as a mum, she's really stressed out most of the time. So that then impacts on the rest of the family. So, you know, whatever you do, whether you're in business or life, value yourself. That's the message through this. You've got to value yourself first. Look after yourself first, because then you're going to be in such a better place to interact with others and support them in their life.
Let's talk a little bit more about flow. We keep using the word flow,
Yes.
and if people are just joining us now, if our viewers are if you're joining us just now and you're thinking, what's she talking about, flow? What's that all about? You alluded to it earlier on. It's about, you know, trying not to push water uphill, really,
That's
isn't
right,
it, in your life and the things that you do. How else do you think getting your flow can help you as an individual and as an individual in business?
Okay, well, when you're in flow, you are naturally aligned with what you're doing. So it comes easily, and it feels, you kind of feel, I'm really being valued, I'm doing what I'm meant to be doing, and it feels really exciting. And something magical happens. You exude this, it's almost like a magnetic glow around you, and people can see and sense that lovely energy that you've got around you, and they're drawn to you. So in a kind of business networking sense, for example, I find people come and talk to me because they're just drawn to my energy, and therefore I'll have a great conversation, and therefore they want to get to know me better. And ultimately, they'll then want to start reading my books, using my services, and therefore my business grows. So as a result of being in flow and having that magical glow, my business will grow. And also when you're in flow as a person, personally, people want to be in your space. And people enrich our lives all the time. Whereas if you're really stressed out and you're not in flow and you're not happy and everything's wrong in the world, then your energy is so closed that you actually drain energy from people when you talk to them. And after they've been with you, they think, oh God, I don't want to spend time with them again. I feel really drained now. So it has an impact on our business and our personal life, being in flow. It's magic.
Do you think it works in a nearly a complementary way with other practitioners? We talked about NLP, identifying your flow. Is NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, is that something that this would work well with?
Totally, absolutely. I mean, I've done a diploma in NLP, so I use it in my coaching. And yeah, it's all about understanding yourself first and understanding more people more. And NLP is very much about building that rapport between people and having that lovely interchange of energy and knowledge and experience. And so when you're in flow, you're doing that at a very high level. So it works very well together. It works brilliantly with coaching. You know, so understanding how somebody can be in flow right at the start of a coaching process, it enables me and other coaches to really understand how to interact with you, how to communicate with you, how much detail to give you, how much big picture, and how to help you be more in flow.
Do you ever come across people that are in flow, know their strengths, have identified their weaknesses, but don't realise they've done it? You see what I mean? They are aware.
Yes, yes. I mean, you do come across people who are totally in flow, who just have somehow landed up there, which is brilliant. However,
I mean, for instance, the example when I did my profile,
yes,
it says that you're similar to Richard Branson and Steve Jobs and people like that.
Did you like that?
I think that's lovely, and I think that really is that's very nice. But with Richard Branson, and we'll use his name, and did Richard Branson get there because he was just naturally in flow, that he just understood himself?
Right. Okay. He's actually a big mate of Roger Hamilton's,
All
who
right.
created Talent Dynamics.
Well, there you go then.
So he knows he's a creator profile. He has got in the region of 330 businesses on the go right now. What he does is he starts them. As soon as he knows it's going to be a good idea, because equally he started a lot that have failed, but as soon as he knows it's going to be a good idea, he appoints a CEO. The CEO then appoints a team and they look after all the detail.
He starts things and never finishes them.
That's right.
Hold that thought.
Yes.
Hold that thought. Do you know anyone like that? Does it remind you of anybody? My guest today is Sylvia Baldock. She's personal presence and team dynamics specialist. She's also an author as well. Where will you find the books, by the way? Will you find them on Amazon?
They're on Amazon.
They're
yes.
on Amazon. The two books that we've got here, From Now to Wow in 30 Days. There's two copies, the bright yellow one and the orange one, and they are available on Amazon. You'll find the links to get a hold of those if you go to our website. You're watching Business Connections Live. Great to have your company with us today. I hope you're finding today's programme. It's a little bit different because a lot of the time, we talk about social media, how to raise funds. But if you haven't got your own personal self sorted out, if you don't know what your own strengths are, then you really are going to be in a very difficult situation. And it's interesting because once you start going down this route, you start to look around you and you start to see different people who are around you, who you work with, who you interchange ideas with. And you see that, maybe if they too were to look at this, and maybe some of the stuff that they do, I should do, some of the stuff I do, they should do. All those kind of things are going on in your mind. It just makes you think about the way that your business is currently operating. If you're enjoying today's show, by the way, don't forget, do give us a like on Facebook. A thumbs up on YouTube. Write a comment if you have a comment about what you've heard. Whether you like it, hate it, indifferent about it, want to rave about it, want to insult it. Do you know, quite frankly, I don't care. I'd rather have a reaction. If we've made you think today, isn't that what this is all about? If you've sat here and go, what a load of old bunkum those two are talking today, well then so be it. You've made a decision, you've analysed the information, and you've gone away and you've gone, that's my opinion. I'd rather you did that than just sat there going, it's great, and not mean it. Any opinion is better than no opinion at all. Personally, I don't think it is. I think it's been very insightful, I think, for me, having gone through the process of the profile. Another thing that can be very insightful is when somebody from the media walks up to you and thrusts a microphone in front of you or a camera. What do you do then? Do you make company policy up on the spot? Do you just start repeating yourself repeatedly over and over, over and over, over and over again? Do you get lost for words? Are you just not prepared for that moment? What could happen? Say a cameraman was to turn up from a local news channel to interview you about your business because something's happened nearby. Is this an ideal opportunity for you to get a message across, a key killer quote, a soundbite that they're going to use in all the news bulletins, and you miss the opportunity? You'd kick yourself, wouldn't you? Don't kick yourself. You can come on one of our training courses on how to handle the media. We invite businesses and individuals to come into the studio, and you'll be put through your paces here. You'll be trained in how to handle a media interview, how to handle a TV interview, what goes on in a TV studio, what the different people do, so you understand more, you feel more comfortable. There is nothing more lonely than being 10 feet away from a bank of cameras. It's a lonely place, but if you become comfortable in that lonely place, you'll perform better. And what about radio? That one-to-one communications medium where you whisper to somebody else your answers. It's not hello folks, it's hello you. Would you use radio to its best effect for your business if you were confronted in that situation? Come on one of the training courses. The team from Iris came on ours. James Griffin, he brought his team along. It was his sales team that came on the course, and here's what James Griffin said about our How to Handle the Media training course.
I'm James Griffin from Iris Software, and my team have just completed the How to Handle the Media workshop. It was a really great course, it was really fun, and it was a really unique way for them to polish their presentation skills and learn how to answer difficult questions under pressure. So I'd highly recommend this to anybody that values those skills and really wants a great day out with their team.
It's a great day. It's our one-day training course, how to handle the media. It's also a perfect team building day as well. If you want to get your sales team, marketing team, internal comms team, if you want to get them out and they can put together a program, they can sit down, and it's very much a workshop. It isn't talk and chalk. You actually come into the studio and you do it, and then everybody comments from the learnings that each individual gets. So everybody can see what somebody else did better, what they didn't do quite so well, and everybody can comment on it. It's a great, great day. If you want more details, here they come right now. You can contact us here at studio@businessconnectionslive.com. There's the address. You can give us a call, find out more. We customize it to the individual business. You send us some press releases or whatever about your organization. It's a turnkey day, so it will be exactly for your business. It isn't general by any means. You can call us on 01784 256 777. Follow our Trainer Consciousness at BCL Business TV, or if you wish, you can also contact us via our Facebook page at Facebook at Business Connections Live. You're watching Business Connections Live. My guest on today's show is Sylvia Baldock. She's a personal presence and team dynamic specialist. So, you've been on the profile. You've done your profile online. You've been on Sylvia's training course, and she's explained to you what your profile actually means to you. Where do you take it next? Is it something that you pack up the profile, you walk out the door, you think about it for a couple of days, and then it just disappears into the ether? How do you keep it a living, breathing profile? How do you really, really capitalise on the information you've got now about yourself? What do you do?
Well, it's a great question, because I've done lots of different profiles in the past, and I have to admit they've ended up exactly where you said. They're stuck on the shelf somewhere and I wouldn't even know where to find them. This one just impacted on me so much, which is why I then took action and thought, let's test this out. Let's do more of what I'm meant to be doing, which is when I joined the Professional Speaking Association. So when you've done this profile, and when you've either had a one-to-one debrief with me or you've had a team session, start testing it out, putting it into practice, spending your time more and more in flow, and monitoring how much of your time each day you're in flow and how much of your time each day you're out of flow, and therefore how productive are you being. And you'll start to notice a pattern. When you're out of flow, you're not productive. When you're in flow, you're incredibly productive. I also recommend that after doing this, you plan your working day around the energies. So, for example, if you're writing, you're creating, you're brainstorming, do it in a block of time. So say have a dynamo morning. Then if you're doing stuff with people, if you're out meeting people, you're phoning people, you're working with them, do that in blaze energy, a block of time. So you might have a dynamo morning, blaze afternoon. Then the next day you might have a tempo morning, which is all about getting things done, looking at your projects, your deadlines, moving things forward, allocating tasks to other people, and then have some steel time, which is the analytics and the detail, looking at the figures, etc. When you work in that way, you work so much more effectively.
So what you're saying is, you're not saying just because you're a dynamo, just be a dynamo.
Yeah.
You're saying there's where your strengths are.
Yes.
But you've still got to identify that you have to be your blade. You've still got to do your tempo. You've still got to do your steel.
Yes.
Your analytics. You've still got to do all the things that you still need to do, but do them more effectively.
Do them less.
But do them less.
Do them less. So with you, for example, 60% dynamo, I would expect you to be spending about 75 to 80% of your time in dynamo energy.
Right.
Right? I would then expect you to be spending 10 to 15% in blaze energy, very little in tempo because you've only got 4%, and a little bit more in steel. But the majority of your time's in that dynamo energy, because that is where you add most value to your business. That is where you're most creative, you get most of your ideas, and therefore that's what's going to make your business grow. If you're spending too much time in the other energies, you're not going to grow nearly as effectively.
For a small business operator,
Yes.
even a medium business operator, you can implement the changes that this suggests. Do you sometimes find, though, that once that information is there, that what you end up doing is frustrating somebody because they know that they want to be doing something different, but because of the way the business operates, that they are stuck in their own personal rut and they can't get out of it?
I find there's always something that they can do. I mean, of course I recognise that we each have to do some of what we don't like doing. I need to look at my accounts, for example. I need to have a meeting with my accountant once a quarter, but I don't have to input the information, so I minimise what's taking me out of flow. But I always find with a small business owner, even with a small team, there's always some changes they can make within that team or within their own role that enables them to be more in flow. And it might take a bit of time, and it might be little by little, but they get more into flow, and as they do, they see the results in the bottom line, and they realise that the more they offload, the more in flow they're going to be, and therefore the more profitable they're going to be. So there's a direct result with being in flow and being profitable.
So I take it it's very much a case of taking control of your own destiny, isn't it?
It is.
And I think a lot of people sometimes they advocate that responsibility, don't they? And they do not grab their life by, because somebody once said this to me, that this is not a rehearsal.
Exactly.
This is the real thing. This is it. You are on stage. You will not get a second chance at this if you're unhappy. That realisation, does it frighten people sometimes?
It does, yes. And I, for example, I worked with one CEO female in London, and she came out as a creator. And when I was debriefing her, she burst into tears, and I thought, sorry, what's happened?
What'd I say?
And she said, I'd completely forgotten that I was creative. Because I'm a CEO, I'm so involved in everything to do with this business, I can't remember the last time I was creative. And she said it's really struck me that I've lost that side of myself. So as a result of doing this, she then started to outsource some of those things that were taking her out of flow, and she set aside a block of time every week to be creative, and she got so much more in flow and is so much happier now. So it's that realisation of how you can be happier, and also realising that work doesn't need to be hard work. It should be a joy. If you're doing what you do best, it should be absolutely brilliant. And people say to me, you know, when are you going to retire? Are you going to retire soon? I've got no idea. I love what I do. I get such a buzz out of it. It doesn't cross my mind.
You alluded to this earlier on, that, okay, people may not be able to get on one of your courses, or they may not be in a position where they can actually do the traditional tests. What can they do if they just want to get maybe an inkling, an indication of where they sit in our overall scheme of things? Yeah,
I will go on my website. I've got I've got a little video on each of my profile, or each of those profiles.
If you have a quick gander, here's the website here. The website is sylviabaldock.com, and you can find out all sorts of things. Let me just go to the home page.
And on the home page, you can actually take the Talent Dynamics test. It just costs £50 to take.
All right.
And it will really highlight for you where your natural strengths are and how you can play to those strengths.
So there you go, you can take the test there.
Take the test there.
You can find out what other people are saying about you as well, and also the other things as well that Sylvia is involved with. If you want more details, or if you just want a little bit of encouragement in your workplace on a day-by-day basis, don't forget we've got the books here, From Now to Wow in 30 Days, 30 Top Tips to Develop a Powerful Personal Presence right now. So there's that book, great book to read. And they are, you know how you sometimes get books like this that they are cram-packed, look at that. Lots of writing, good pictures, all joined up.
And it's a tip a day. So
it's a tip
really
a day.
Easy to read. It's not like a tome that sits by your bed for months and months and doesn't get read. You read a tip a day, apply it, and by the end of 30 days, you'll be thinking, wow.
I shall start this evening. And if you are interested in taking the test, here is the test that I took. And if you're thinking it's a single sheet of paper that you get back, there's pages and pages and pages. And it is very interesting. It obviously looks at what your core strengths are. So the creator, your primary profile description, and also who you share it with, other people in business that are like you as well. It's just a great opportunity, a great insight into what you do. Sylvia, we're coming rapidly to the end of the programme. We always invite our guests to just deliver a little speech, a little roundup, the key takeaways, what we've learned on today's programme. So if you don't mind, straight down camera number one, say who you are, where you're from. The airways, Sylvia, are all yours.
So I'm Sylvia Baldock, and I unlock the hidden potential in individuals and teams, because I believe that each and every one of us only scratch the surface of our true potential, and beyond wherever you are now lies a depth of potential that would absolutely astound you. So what I'd ask you to do is to find where your strengths lie, and if you can afford it, take a profile test, because it will change your life. and then play to those strengths. Engineer your life so you can spend more time doing the work you love to do and where you add most value. And delegate out the tasks that you don't like. Life should not be hard work. Life should be fun. So have fun.
Great advice, actually. If you are going, I mean, maybe you're watching this during your lunch hour, maybe you're watching this in the evening, and you know, it's always good to know. Please do give us your comments as well. But you just got to take control a little bit of what your life is all about. And as we said earlier on, the thing is, this isn't a rehearsal. And something for a lot of people, particularly some of our guests that we get here, a lot of people will come here with some form of epiphany moment where something has happened in their life and has made them just stand back for a moment. And even in our business lives, we probably need that occasionally, to stand back and just to take stock of what we're doing and where we're doing it and why we're doing it. And maybe this, it is probably something you already know. You probably could, if someone was to push you, identify what your key things are that you're good at. The thing you may find harder, maybe this is right, are the key things that you're not good at.
Yes, yes.
That's a fair thing to say.
Absolutely, and one of the things that it allowed me to do, as I said earlier, was to let go of the things that I'm not good at, because we can learn to be good at stuff, and therefore our impression of who we are and what we're good at is warped, which is why so many people are not playing to their strengths at work, because we've learned to multitask and be that jack of all trades. So it's actually drilling down into what am I good at and what actually doesn't fulfil my needs and doesn't fire me up. I don't look forward to it. I want to drop it.
And if someone finds themselves like that in work, what would be that life-changing piece of advice that you would say to them? Would you say, if you're feeling like that in the position that you're in at the moment, take stock,
Yes.
get another job.
Get another job.
Look differently, retrain,
Yeah.
do what makes you happy.
Totally. And I would say, I'm going to get probably bombarded by this, I would say that women are particularly good at that. They're good at reinventing themselves because they often do after they've had children and a career break. Whereas there's a tendency amongst men to pick a career and stick with it. So, you know, guys, all of you, just be confident in who you are, what you've got to offer, find the work you love to do, and start living life to the full, because that's what life's all about.
Sylvia, it's been an absolute pleasure having you with us on the program today. It's been a real insight. A little bit different today's programme, not quite the normal social media, raising funds and all the other palaver that goes around running a business. But as a business owner, you have a responsibility to somebody within your business, and that somebody is you. You've got to take that responsibility to make certain that you're in the right place and that you're achieving what you truly can, finding your true potential. Sylvia, thank you very much for being on the show.
Been a pleasure.
And thank you very much for watching Business Connections Live. It's been a cracking show today, and my guest has been absolutely incredible. If you are watching this at a later date and you're watching it in the Cambridge area, thank you very much indeed. Lots of news, of course, up in the Cambridge area this particular week with the big sale that took place there, the last 14 days or so for that microchip manufacturer, ARM, of course. So probably your phone's probably got one of their chips sitting inside of it right now. So well done to all the team that are up there as well. And congratulations, and long may ARM and the development of those microprocessors continue in the Cambridge area. Let's have a look at what's happening in the next couple of weeks on the programme. We've got Rupert Honeywood. He's coming up on a future programme here on Business Connections Live. He's the Managing Director of Integrated Marketing Bureau. Jeff Downs, he's a lovely bloke, Managing Director of Quantum Sales, just a jolly guy, and he talks about how you can increase your sales in business for that matter. Theda Gray, Business Solutions Manager with Oxford Innovation, lovely lady. She came in on the programme. Mark Tillison, Managing Director of Tillison Consulting and Digital Marketing Agency, on how you can go about growing your business online, how SEO can work for you, how you can make absolutely certain that your media campaigns are working more effectively for you. Deborah Hume, Director of Minerva Engagement. James Potter, the LinkedIn man. Alison Crump, Implementation and Quality Manager at the AA, will be joining us. So big brand. So what can small brands, small businesses learn from the big brands? Well, Alison's going to be in, and she's going to be explaining just some of the things that you can learn from them. And also we've got a Business Connections Live special, the hurdles for SMEs when tendering for government and PLC contracts. This is turning out to be quite an interesting, if the programme never ever happens, the mere fact that we've rattled a few cages with this one, if you are a procurement manager working in a large organisation at the moment, why oh why do you go through the process of making small businesses do tender documents that take days to do when you know you're never ever going to award them the contract? Why do you do that? And if it's because you have to, then maybe it's your boss that we need to be talking to. Because why are you making your procurement team do that and taking the time out of the lives of the small businesses that have to because they feel obliged to, because they're desperate for the business, when you know, and your procurement team know, you're never ever going to award them the contract? Why do large businesses do that? Well, we've got a few people, got a special on it coming in here at Business Connections Live because, you know, ethically, it isn't right. I did have a conversation with somebody who said that they knew who they were going to give the contract to and they were going to go to 2 other people just to get the quotes in. You are wasting people's lives. Anyway, that's a future program on Business Connections Live. Hope you've enjoyed today's show. Should we roll those credits and get out of here? Out into the sunshine. Thank you very much indeed for watching us today. My thanks once again to Sylvia Baldock, personal presence and team dynamic specialist.
Yay.
Madam.
Thank you.
You were
Thank you so
fantastic.
much.
Till we do it again next Monday at midday. Have yourself a fantastic week of successful selling and get that business running. Talk to you then. Bye for now. Bye-bye.